Discover the amazing transformation. She accepted a lonely millionaire's job and found unexpected freedom. Clara wiped down the counter for what felt like the 100th time, glancing out the dingy window at the rain-soaked parking lot, her mind racing. It was another dreary Monday at the diner where she poured coffee and served pie to the same faces day after day, faces filled with their own burdens. She ached for something different, a reinvention of herself that felt forever out of reach. The sound of her two kids laughing at home echoed in her mind, juxtaposed with the stifling dread of bills piling up, squeezing her chest tighter. Just how much longer could she juggle the demands of work and motherhood without collapsing under the weight? As she rearranged the sugar packets, she felt a fizzling sensation beneath her skin. The diner filled with the familiar sense of burnt coffee and greasy fries, but something unusual lingered in the air, an unfamiliar energy. Then he walked in the reclusive millionaire, Henry, draped in an oversized coat that seemed almost comically large against his lanky frame. He scanned the room, and Clara's heart skipped a radiant glimmer in an otherwise mundane place. Before she could sweep his presence from her mind, he approached her with an unexpected smile that dripped with assuredness. "Excuse me, do you have a moment to discuss a job opportunity?" he said casually, and for a moment, the diner faded away. His invitation lingered, intoxicating and implausible. Memories of long nights spent studying for a degree she could never afford crashed into her thoughts, each borrowing weight from the other. "Me? A job with you?" She scoffed silently, the absurdity gnawing at her logic. Yet desperation hung like a heavy fog. The idea swirled around in her mind, a blend of curiosity and fear, but her heart thumbed at the notion like a trapped bird. What would the town say? Would her responsibilities to her kids slip away from her grip if she ventured into his world? Be rational, she chided herself. Yet, standing there, drenched in uncertainty, Clara found herself nodding, the weight of hesitation lifting just enough to echo, "I'll consider it." Hours later, she stood at the entrance of Henry's estate, feeling like a moth on the edge of a flame. The sprawling mansion towered like a fortress, encasing beauty and dread within its walls. Inside, every room radiated with the echoes of past glories painted beautifully over fractured canvases of regret. She swallowed hard, wrestling her internal conflict as much as the looming atmosphere. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The intricacies of Henry's life unfurled before her like a complicated tapestry, revealing a vulnerable artist caught in the grips of profound loneliness. Each day, he revealed more of his soul through vivid strokes of paint, encouraging Clara to reflect on her own forgotten passions. The more she understood his struggles, the more her own dormant ambitions rattled beneath her skin, begging for acknowledgement. But beneath that desire lay a snaky whisper of self-doubt. Could she forge a connection with this man who existed in a world so dissimilar from her own? And with every hour spent in his company, the tightrope between ambition and loyalty stretched dangerously thin. Shepherded by whispers of judgment from people she once called friends, Clara wrestled with the growing chasm separating her old life from a new one that shimmered just out of reach. Questions tangled in her mind. Was she risking everything for a man with a past riddled with mistakes? Would it be worth it if it meant finally igniting that flicker of life within herself? Now, standing at the edge of this uncertain future, she felt the weight of her choices pressing against her chest as she faced the imminent storm. Standing on the precipice of transformation, she realized she would soon have to decide. Would she protect Henry and his legacy, or retreat into the confines of the familiar? The air hummed with tension, its crescendo rising, beckoning her to take a step, yet leaving her teetering on the edge of vulnerability and aspiration. What would she ultimately choose? Clara wandered through the grand halls of Henry's mansion, each room an echo chamber of her internal battle, an artist's struggle mirrored in a physical realm that felt simultaneously inviting and suffocating. She moved closer to a painting that resonated with her, a swirl of colors capturing a stormy sea, chaotic yet beautiful. Something stirred within her, something long dormant, a flicker of inspiration that dared to ignite her existence once more. "I see you have an eye for art," Henry remarked from behind her, his voice soft yet resonant. She turned, noticing the spark of genuine interest in his eyes, pulling her into a shared moment, a mutual understanding burgeoning amid their contrasting worlds. "This piece, it reflects turmoil. Those of us who have faced our storms often speak through our art. Dare I say we all have storms to weather?" Clara mused, a smile revealing her boldness as she took a step closer. "I've been battling mine for years." "Then why not paint?" he challenged, raising an eyebrow as he crossed his arms. "Unleash it. What is holding you back?" As if drawn by an unseen force, her tongue tangled with memories of childhood art classes, color-streaked hands, and dream-filled nights where she wove herself into unimaginable realms. Yet, the voices of others' doubts, fears, responsibilities crowded the edges of her mind, drowning her silent battles in a cacophony of negativity. "I can't simply paint my problems away," she laughed, though her heart sank beneath the weight of practicality. "I have kids, bills, a life to manage." "Is that really the entirety of your story?" Henry pressed. The light dripping through the large bay windows illuminated the sparks in his eyes. "Your life may have responsibilities, but it also holds the potential for something greater." Clara hesitated. Who was she without her roles, without the constraints of motherhood and obligation? With every passing moment, the gap between her past and a potential future widened, echoing a tethering instability she had never before faced. "Just think about it," Henry encouraged, brushing past her barriers with gentle persistence. "What if you poured your soul into something that mattered to you? Imagine the impact that could have on your life, on your children's lives." His words reverberated within her, exposing her buried ambitions to the light. Could she truly carve out a space for herself amid the chaos? That evening, Clara found herself rummaging through boxes tucked away in her attic, remnants of a life that seemed so distant now, old canvases, colors faded, yet still vibrant with potential. Somewhere in her heart, a newfound resolve began to bloom. The hesitation that had long restrained her withered slightly. She spent the next weeks navigating this unexpected duality, gripping the reins of motherhood, while tentatively re-engaging with the artist lurking within her. Each brushstroke on the canvas felt like shedding layers of her multifaceted identity. But shadows loomed large. As Clara's paintings took form, so did the whispers of discontent from peers back home. Old friends questioned her decisions, their criticism as sharp as a knife. "You're leaving your kids behind," one had said, pitching Clara once more into a whirlpool of doubt. "Are you really trying to find yourself, or are you just running away?" Facing the judgment appeared insurmountable, testing her newfound lease on possibility. Yet, within the storm of opinions swirling around her, she uncovered an inner strength, a flickering flame that demanded to be fed. Then came an invitation from Henry, a gallery opening showcasing their collaborative works, juxtaposing his portraits with her newly realized artistic voice. Panic coursed through her. Could she face the audience, with so much at stake and so many judging eyes? She stood at a critical juncture, poised above a precipice where every decision could lead her to liberation or despair. What would this exhibition mean for her? Could she truly embrace who she was becoming while fearing the ghosts of her past? As she prepared for the event, Clara felt anxiety sneak in, wrapping itself around her resolve like vines. Would stepping into the light mean surrendering part of the identity she had long fought to construct, or could it empower her to embrace the fullness of her multifaceted self? With this opening night looming, her stress began to spiral into an existential crisis. Could she conjure the strength to face both the audience and herself? The time had come to unveil her artistry, but also to confront the shadows of doubt that clawed at her. Would she summon the courage to step forward, or would she retreat into the obscurity of the past? Clara stood in front of her easel, a cacophony of colors swirling around her, reflecting the tumult within. As she mixed paint, each stroke liberated long-buried emotions, yet anxiety lurked just below the surface. The exhibition loomed like a storm cloud, threatening to unleash a downpour of doubt right before her opening night. In the solitude of her studio, she battled not only the specters of judgment, but also the voices of her past. The whispers resonated louder, chiseled into her thoughts by friends who had turned into critics. "You're a mother. Your place is at home," they echoed in her mind, sharpening the edges of her conflict. Yet, a part of her itched to defy that narrative, yearning to forge her path amidst the conflicting expectations of motherhood and self-actualization. With each stroke, Clara began confronting her insecurities. She painted the chaotic memories of sleepless nights, messy finger-painting sessions with her kids, and quiet moments of reflection, all fluidly entwined in a narrative of discovery. Her brush became a weapon, blurring the lines between her roles as an artist and a caretaker. Yet, each time a brush met canvas, a flicker of doubt emerged. What if those who saw her work could only fixate on the choices she made, instead of acknowledging the artist she aspired to be? The day of the exhibition felt surreal as she slipped into an elegant dress, one that felt foreign against her skin, as if it attempted to weave her into someone she was not. Clara caught her reflection in the hallway mirror and took a deep breath. She was an artist now, or at least, she was trying to be. As she journeyed to the gallery with Henry, the car ride felt like an eternity, each passing minute thickening the air around her. At the gallery, she was enveloped in a nervous energy, the room alive with chatter and the soft clinking of glasses. The walls, adorned with her work, seemed to pulse with a discreet challenge. With every friendly face that approached, an internal dialogue flared up. What if they dig deeper? What if they see beyond the paint? Henry noticed her struggle, his eyes piercing through her uncertainty. "Every brush stroke tells a story, Clara. Remember, you own your narrative." His encouragement, while soothing, was tinged with an expectation she feared she couldn't meet. As guests admired Henry's portraits, Clara felt an overwhelming compulsion to either step back into the shadows or step forward into the light. Moments later, a familiar voice hacked through her reverie. "Clara, I didn't expect to see you here, pursuing your little dreams." It was Jenna, one of her most outspoken critics. Her smile felt icy, threading contempt into the air like a storm brewing. Clara's heart raced. She could feel the judgment waiting to spring forth. "Why don't you just stick to what you're good at? You have kids that need you," Jenna pressed, firing the familiar doubt straight at Clara's chest. For a split second, the floodgates of her uncertainty threatened to drown her. Yet amidst the simmering chaos, a steadfast resolve bubbled to the surface. It was time to confront this. "Jenna, I'm here because I want to be. This isn't about escaping my responsibilities. It's about embracing who I am." "I'm not just a mother, I'm an artist too," Clara replied, feeling each word crack open a window in her consciousness. Her own voice, steadier than she expected, resonated with a strength she hadn't realized she possessed. The confrontation was a moment of evolution, an unveiling of her own narrative. As Jenna's gaze faltered, Clara could feel a shift within her. Moving away from the prickling tension, she embraced the honesty that collided with expectation. Displaying her work, she was transparent about her journey, her fears, her triumphs, and art. Standing there at the opening, she realized she was ready to embrace not only her art, but her identity. But as Clara looked around, she caught Henry's gaze across the room, and within it, a question lingered: what awaited her next? Was this transformation the beginning or merely a stepping stone in her story? The excitement intertwined with fear danced in her chest, as she felt the resounding truth course through her. The battle with doubt would never fully dissipate, but the courage to face it was undoubtedly hers. As the evening progressed, whispers of admiration encircled her. Clara's heart raced with the thrill of acceptance. The moment instilled both apprehension and anticipation. She had taken a step toward a new direction, one she barely understood but longed to explore. Yet, while Clara's journey had flourished into the light, shadows of the past still stalked her. Faces of the critics and hidden doubts hung in the corners of her mind. Though she had faced one adversary, she wondered silently, who else would challenge her? And as she approached the uncharted future, the longing question remained: could she secure this newfound artistry amidst the chaos of life, without losing the essence of who she had always been? Clara awoke the next morning to sunlight streaming through her studio window, illuminating the remnants of last night energy, a mixture of exhilaration and anxiety, lingered in the air like faint echoes of applause. She had told Jenna exactly how she felt, a breakthrough of sorts. Yet the warmth of that moment clashed with the memories of uncertainty that crept back. Sitting in front of her easel, she examined her previous night's work. The colors danced with a vibrancy she hadn't felt before, almost as if they were challenging her to push further. But her mind was heavy with questions. How could she sustain this momentum? What if her next canvas fell flat, shattering the fragile identity she had just begun to forge? The familiar aroma of coffee brewed in the background as Henry entered the studio, bringing with him a serene presence that cut through her spiraling thoughts. "You look deep in thought," he remarked gently, his eyes scanning the canvases before settling on her. "What is on your mind?" Clara took a breath, wrestling with the urge to hide her vulnerability. "I'm excited about last night, but I also fear it was a fluke. What if I can't do it again?" Henry stepped closer, an earnest look in his eyes. "It's normal to doubt, especially when you're doing something so personal. But remember, growth happens outside of comfort. You've taken a leap, now it's time to explore what that means for you." His words resonated deeply, igniting a flicker of defiance against her doubts. Perhaps doubt wasn't her greatest adversary. Fear of stagnation was. With renewed vigor, Clara grabbed a fresh canvas and began painting intuitively, allowing her emotions to guide her. Each stroke was an affirmation. She envisioned herself as an artist unbound by the fear of others' opinions. Later that day, when the vibrant paint had dried into an expressive tapestry of her thoughts, Clara received an unexpected message from a local art gallery. They were interested in featuring her work in an upcoming exhibition. The invitation felt like a key to a door she didn't know was locked, but a familiar trepidation pricked at her. Would they see her for who she was, or merely as a mother playing at artistry? Despite the unsettling thoughts, the thrill of opportunity surged through her. She resolved to dive deeper, to push the boundaries of her creativity. Art was not just about validation. It was a conversation with herself. As Clara navigated the contours of her artistic journey, she found herself contemplating a new project, one that entwined her experiences as a mother with her identity as an artist. At night, when the house was quiet and her children slept, she sketched ideas that spoke to the interplay of those two worlds. How could she reflect the beauty of motherhood while asserting her individuality? This duality would become her strength. Weeks rolled by, and as the exhibition approached, Clara met with fellow artists, sharing ideas and learning from their journeys. Each interaction chipped away at the walls she had built, revealing the richness of community within the art world. Yet, as she stood at her kitchen table surrounded by sketches, a flicker of panic coursed through her. Would her work be good enough? Had she pushed herself too far too fast? In the depths of her doubts, just as she questioned her talent, the phone rang. It was a wealthy collector looking for a unique piece for his home. Clara's heart raced. He offered a lucrative commission. The promise of financial security for her family tugged at her, yet the pressure weighed heavy. Accepting the job would mean further committing to her art at the risk of losing the spontaneity that had ignited her passion. Clara's mind spun as she mulled over the idea of balancing artistic integrity with commercial success. In her heart, she knew this could be her opportunity. But the anxiety of becoming the mother who paints still gnawed at her. The moment of decision loomed closer, and Clara faced an inevitable question. Would she accept the challenge, or retreat into the safety of her previous roles? The tension between ambition and fear coalesced into a pivotal moment of truth. As Clara stared at the blank canvas before her, the exhilarating mixture of fear and determination blossomed within. Reinvigorated, she recognized what was at stake. Her evolution depended on embracing not only her art, but also how she defined success on her terms. Yet, even as resolve strengthened, Clara's mind reverberated with doubt. Could she transform this opportunity into a revelation, or would it shatter her fragile sense of self? The answer rested on the horizon. Waiting to unveil itself, could she discover the artistry she sought or lose herself in the shadows of expectation once more? The sun illuminated Clara's studio with a golden hue as the day of decision loomed. The canvas stood before her, a white expanse that mocked her uncertainty. She had resisted impulse and resisted the temptation to paint something safe, something that wouldn't challenge her. But today, she felt compelled to confront both the blank space and her own fears. As she gathered her brushes, she grappled with the weight of the commission. It felt monumental, a statement of professional validation. Yet with each brushstroke, questions bubbled to the surface. What if this commission distracted her from her true artistic voice? What if her reputation became tethered to a portrayal of motherhood that lacked depth? Her hands trembled slightly. She had to get this right not just for herself, but for the identity she was attempting to carve out. Clara dipped the brush into the paint, recalling the images of the mother she aspired to portray, not a stereotype, but a multifaceted human being with dreams, anxieties, and fierce beauty. She let the brush dance across the canvas, intent on channeling her experiences of motherhood, the moments of joy, the frustrations, and the silent celebrations of ordinary victories. With every stroke, she felt a sense of liberation. The canvas transformed slowly, blooming into an exploration of complexities rather than homogeneity. Yet just as she began to feel buoyant, recall washed over her, an unsettling reminder of the conversations she had with fellow artists in recent weeks. One voice stuck in her mind. Art is only as good as the truth behind it. The panicked flutter returned as she questioned whether she was being genuine or crafting something for sale. Was this piece birthed from passion or merely a product of expectation? She set the brush down, frustration spilling over into her thoughts. The gallery's upcoming exhibition could be her moment in exposure to a larger audience. Yet, if she accepted the collector's commission, would her time and energy be diverted from that core statement she wished to make about herself? The ticking clock mocked her resolve, amplifying her internal turmoil. Taking a step back, Clara poured herself a glass of water, forcing herself to pause. Could she not embrace both? Her instincts whispered of integration, a seamless weaving of artistic identity and the pressures of commercial expectations. Wouldn't an expression of her truest self guide both her commissions and personal work? Returning to her easel, the concept began to crystallize. She envisioned a series that explored the tether she felt between artistry and motherhood. Her experience of creating art would reflect in her brushwork the chaos of a child interrupting, the laughter, the paint stains on her hands and clothes. Perhaps if she shared this duality honestly, it wouldn't be a crutch, but rather a testament to her resilience. Days turned into nights as she delved deeper into her new project, continuously revising her thoughts. Henry offered encouragement, often teasing her about how much paint she'd gotten on herself, yet there was admiration in his gaze every time he glanced at her growing collection. Clara started to see the beginning of a unified body of work that could stand on its own merit. But the night before she was to present her completed piece to the gallery, she found herself staring into the dark, overwhelmed. Self-doubt gripped her. What if the collectors perceived her paintings as trivial, mere hobbyist daubs, a beautiful representation of motherhood trapped in a societal expectation? Would they dismiss the authenticity of her journey? Clara grasped the edge of her bed, heart racing. She understood now that presenting herself to the world wasn't just about showcasing art. It was about showcasing her truth. Uncertainty and anxiety swirled together as do a painter's colors on a canvas, creating an image that felt disjointed yet valid. Dawn broke, and she made a decision. She wouldn't just showcase her art. She would articulate her process, her journey, and her fears, transforming the exhibition into a dialogue. But that required something daring. Would the world accept her vulnerability? Could she discuss her struggles not only as an artist, but as a mother grappling with expectations and identity? As Clara stepped into the gallery for her presentation, her heart pounded. Could she bear the weight of exposing her soul? The moment of truth had arrived, and the stakes seemed higher than ever. She could either step fully into her identity or shrink back into a role that felt all too familiar. With a deep breath, she prepared to unfold her story to a waiting audience. The answer she so desperately sought lingering just beyond the surface. Would courage lead to liberation, or would her fears drown her once more? The gallery was alive with the hum of conversation and the rustle of gathering patrons. Clara stood before her piece, her heart racing as eyes drifted between her artwork and the guests, each one a potential critic, a potential admirer. The vibrant colors sang of her experiences, tales woven through brushstrokes echoing laughter, frustration, and the nuances of a mother's heart. Yet with every nod, with every murmur of gratitude, doubt lingered like a shadow at the edge of her consciousness. She clutched the edge of an adjacent table, a makeshift anchor. The audience remained unsatisfied to merely observe. They were eager for context. Their eyes flicked to her, as if expecting an entry into her artistic psyche. She caught snippets of hushed whispers. Does she even know what she is doing? A knot tightened in her stomach, a reminder that every artist walked a tightrope between adoration and critique. But the vulnerability she promised herself began to unfurl within her. As she stepped forward, she found the weight of her fears pressing down. "Thank you all for being here," she started, her voice steadying. "I want to share what this piece means to me to bridge the gap between the canvas and the chaotic world of motherhood." Each word felt like a step deeper into the fray, each sentence a syllable closer to unveiling her truth. She spoke of late nights spent painting, of messy hands intertwined with her child's laughter, and how those moments bled into her art. Clara realized with every passing comment from her lips, she was not just addressing the audience. She was reaffirming her identity as an artist, one not bound by expectations, but liberated by authenticity. She embraced her uncertainty as part of the narrative, a layer of her journey worth sharing. When she noticed heads nodding in understanding, she felt a swell of boldness. Clara spoke to the complexity of being both an artist and a mother, a mess of joy and anxiety, akin to the colors on her canvas. In that moment, she noticed more than nods. She saw empathy reflected in the audience as they recognized their struggles mirrored in her creation. It felt like a release, each shared heartbeat between her and the crowd, an affirmation of her fears and triumphs. As her presentation drew to a close, her confidence blossomed, casting aside the shadows of self-doubt. Clara's heart raced not with fear, but with an exhilarating surge of vulnerability that coursed through her, revitalizing her spirit. The applause that erupted was not just for her art. It was for the raw honesty she had dared to present. Yet something shifted within as she exited the stage. In the moments that followed, she exchanged warm words with previous critics turned admirers, but a flicker of unease whispered in her ear. Clara felt the thrill of acceptance, but there were lingering questions regarding the true value of her artistic journey. Had she merely appeased the crowd to cement her place in the gallery, or had she genuinely empowered others to embrace their complexities? As she mingled, a tall figure approached, a collector Clara recognized but had never spoken to before. He leaned in slightly, intrigued. "Your presentation, it brought depth to the work. Most artists hide beneath layers of gloss." His eyes glinted with curiosity. "Would you be open to collaborating on a project? One that explores this intersection of motherhood and artistry further?" Clara's heartbeat quickened, a maelstrom of possibilities spinning in her mind. A chance to blend her experience with new ideas offered promise, but also complications. Would this collaboration help her grow, or would it entangle her in the web of commercial demands she had navigated so precariously? She glanced back at her paintings, vibrant and bold, and felt a twinge of hesitation. Could she navigate a project rooted in authenticity, or would it be another step toward the market's stark expectations? As Clara met the collector's gaze, the stakes felt even higher, and her next move loomed with electric uncertainty. What awaited her in this new venture? Clara stood silently, the vibrant chaos of the gallery still swirling around her as thoughts raced through her mind. The collector's proposition hung in the air, a tantalizing opportunity intertwined with the unsettling shadows of doubt that had plagued her career. What did collaboration even mean in this context? She had spent so long trying to find her voice amidst the cacophony of expectations, and the idea of tying her work to someone else felt alarmingly like a betrayal of her evolving identity. With a determined breath, Clara shifted her stance, breaking away from the rhythmic buzz of conversation around her. She moved to a quieter corner of the gallery, where the interplay of shadows and soft lights mirrored her internal struggle. Questions ricocheted in her mind. Would aligning with a well-known collector dilute her artistic integrity? Or could such a partnership amplify her message, pushing the boundaries of her craft in ways she hadn't envisioned? "Clara?" The collector's voice approached her again, bringing her back to the present. "Yes," she responded, discomfort dancing in her chest at the thought of the commitment. "I sensed hesitation in your gaze," he began, his sincerity disarming her. We could create something groundbreaking together. Art that speaks to the trials and triumphs of motherhood. She studied him, considering the earnestness behind his words. What indeed did he think about her journey? Did he see her merely as a vessel for his ideas? Or could this be the collaboration she desperately sought to explore her artistry further? As she paused, visions of her own explorations flickered before her. The moments when she had surrendered to her creativity without fear, letting the chaos of life fuel her artistic expression. Those late nights drenched in paint, messy and raw, were not just experiences to draw from, but core elements of her identity. I want to ensure that this project allows me to remain authentic, Clara spoke finally, her voice steady but edged with urgency. Art is an intimate part of me. I don't want it to become a commercial product. The weight of her words lingered between them. I completely understand, he replied, nodding. My goal is to elevate your vision, not alter it. We explore themes grounded in realism, showcasing both the struggles and beauty of motherhood. This isn't about manufacturing something for sales. It's about giving you a platform. Clara felt her tension slowly receding. Could it be possible to align her work with commercial interests without sacrificing her vision? The thought ignited a small flame of hope within her. Let us say I agree to this, Clara proposed, her thoughts racing. What does the collaborative process look like? He smiled, sensing her willingness to engage. We begin with brainstorming sessions, discussing the essence of your art and my objectives. You'd remain the focal point, and together we chart a course, revealing the subtle intricacies of your story. Excitement wrestled with apprehension within Clara as she envisioned the potential impact. This could be a pivotal moment in her career to not only expand her reach, but to amplify the message she held dear, sharing truths that resonate with countless others navigating the complexities of parenthood. But as the conversation progressed, her mind swirled with the bigger question: was she prepared to expose her vulnerabilities in this new forum? Was she truly ready to explore this uncharted territory? What if she found herself backtracking, sacrificing her hard-won confidence to fit into an imposed framework? With a new resolve, Clara took a step closer to the collector, her voice steady. I want to embrace this uncomfortable possibility. A collaboration that stretches my boundaries while staying true to my essence. But I'll need to ensure my narrative remains front and center. The collector nodded, respect glimmering in his eyes. Then let us push the boundaries together. As they exchanged contact information, Clara felt embers of determination ignite inside her. But her heart raced with uncertainty. She had taken a step forward toward an exhilarating yet daunting journey. That night, Clara lay awake, torn between anticipation and anxiety. Could this partnership enhance her artistry, or would she find herself buried beneath heavy expectations? The distance between fear and liberation blurred with every thought. Yet in her heart, she knew one thing. She had to confront the trepidation lurking within, one way or another. The moment had come to face the reality of her choices, a choice that would shape her path in ways she could hardly imagine. And with that decision hanging in the air, Clara felt the weight of her next steps looming ahead. Would she emerge triumphant, fully embracing her newfound calling, or would the shadows of her insecurities prove too great to overcome? Each potential answer whispered a lingering question. What awaited her in this venture, triumph or tumult? Clara woke up the next morning feeling like a ship caught in a storm. The sunlight streamed in through her window, but it felt cold, despite the warmth it promised. She lay there, staring at the ceiling, the collector's words echoing in her mind. Today would be the day she took formal steps toward partnership, but the weight of uncertainty clung to her like a heavy blanket. As she prepared for their first brainstorming session, Clara grappled with her belief in herself. She applied her lipstick with shaky hands, reflecting on the dissonance between her ambition and her self-doubt. Each stroke of color felt significant, as if she were painting a facade over her uncertainty. Who would she be without her usual armor? What kind of artist would she become if she exposed her vulnerabilities? Arriving at the collaborative workspace, Clara felt her stomach twisting in knots. The sterile environment buzzed with energy and creativity. Artists and creators from various disciplines flowed in and out, like colorful watercolors bleeding into one another. Instead of inspiration, a sense of being an outsider washed over her. The collector met her with a warm smile, but that warmth only kindled her apprehension. "I'm thrilled you could make it," he said, ushering her to a large table adorned with sketches and vivid visual references. "We're going to create something transformative together. I want us to dig deep." "Dig deep," she echoed, not quite sure if she was ready to face the depths of her insecurities. "What if we don't find anything remarkable?" "That's part of the process," he assured. "Vulnerability breeds authenticity. Let us begin with your story. What do motherhood and art mean to you?" Clara hesitated, confronted with the weight of his question. This was no longer about simply producing paintings, but about peeling back layers of her experience. A knot of fear twisted in her chest. Would she be able to articulate her truth? What if she shared too much? Would they see her struggles as weakness rather than depth? "Motherhood is my muse," she began cautiously, her voice faltering. "It's chaos, beauty, and the constant negotiation between who I want to be and who I have to be." "Perfect," he said, jotted down notes. "Let us explore that chaos, turn it into art that speaks to your audience." Everyone connects with that journey. It's universal. As Clara delved deeper into her narrative, she felt a flicker of empowerment igniting within her. Art was indeed a reflection of life, the intricacies and contradictions that defined it. She began to envision ways to express motherhood-esque complexities without compromising her voice. Yet, as the ideas flowed, a new hesitation crept in. What would her peers think? How would this collaboration reframe her identity? Would she be seen as a commercial artist rather than a genuine creator? The questions loomed heavy above her. "Let us sketch out a direction for this project," the collector suggested, pulling Clara from her spiral of doubt. "What themes resonate with you?" "Transition," Clara replied, her heart racing as thoughts sharpened into focus. The transition of self and motherhood, the identity shift, the everyday struggles and triumphs that morph our perception of art and life. "Brilliant," he exclaimed. "That's the heartbeat of your work. Let us draft concepts around it, visual representations that illustrate the evolution of identity through motherhood." With a growing sense of clarity, Clara started to draw, letting pencil meet paper, sketching images that spoke volumes, her insecurities feeding into the creative process, fueling her desire for authenticity. Each line embodied a piece of her journey, a silent rebellion against the fear of commercialism. The more she created, the closer she felt to the artist she aspired to be. By the end of the session, Clara was exhausted yet invigorated. For the first time since they began, she glimpsed a path where her identity and ambition could intertwine seamlessly. Yet, the lingering unease settled back, and was she truly ready for this? The realization that her career could go in a myriad of directions both excited and terrified her. As she packed her things, the collector's words echoed again. Vulnerability breeds authenticity. But was she ready to embrace that truth? Walking out, the sunlight felt warmer anew, yet uncertainty shadowed her heart. The decision weighed heavily. Could she fully expose herself while still evolving? What kind of message would her art send to the world? Tomorrow's session loomed large on the horizon, a chance to further explore her vision or risk stepping back under the weight of her insecurities. She knew she had no choice but to confront her fears head-on. And so, Clara stood at the precipice of her transformation, anxiety mingling with anticipation. What awaited her journey, personal evolution or retreat into comfort? She could only surrender to the unfolding. Her next steps were veiled in mystery. Clara returned to the collaborative workspace the following day, a palpable tension coiling in her chest. The sunlight, previously warm, now illuminated the stark reality of her situation, a crossroads where her professional identity and personal aspirations collided. The day ahead felt like a high-stakes game, each move spelling success or retreat. Would she step boldly into this new territory, or would she allow self-doubt to dictate her actions? Upon entering the studio, she was met with the hum of conversation and the shuffle of papers. The collector was already poring over sketches with another artist, immersed in creative dialogue. Clara took a moment to observe, reminding herself that everyone present had navigated their personal battles, yet she still felt like an outsider. The ache of inadequacy tightened around her like a noose. "Clara, come over here." The collector called suddenly, breaking her reverie. His enthusiasm sparked something inside her. An ember of determination flickered in response. She crossed the room, her steps hesitant but purposeful. Today was a chance to contribute something meaningful, to leave a mark on the project they were building. "Let us dive into your ideas on transition," he said, spreading out her sketches on the table like dominoes poised to fall. Clara sensed the importance of this moment, the weight of expectation pressing down on her, but fueling her resolve. She took a breath and began to speak. As her words started to flow, articulating the transitions she had sketched, she felt a strange sense of liberation. "Motherhood is a series of small deaths and rebirths," she stated, her confidence building. "Every time you adapt to a new phase, you lose part of who you were, but you also gain new understanding. It's a constant evolution." The collector nodded, his expression earnest. "That's it. Showcase these metamorphoses visually. People need to see this dynamism. Art isn't just static, it evolves, just like you." As they discussed her concepts, Clara felt her fears slowly dissipating. The collector encouraged her to embrace her authentic voice, reminding her that her feelings were not weaknesses but integral parts of her narrative. This collaboration wasn't about selling out. It was about exploration and revelation. Yet, even amid this blooming clarity, a shadow flickered in the corners of her mind. The fear of judgment lingered. Would her peers respect her work, or would they dismiss it as merely personal? That question nagged at her like a splinter under skin. Clara instinctively shifted her focus back to the drawings, grounding herself in the familiar tactile sensation of pencil on paper. "Let us set a pace for this project," the collector continued. "How about we create a series that captures the stages of motherhood in vivid layers? Think colors that convey emotional depth, mixed media to add texture representing the chaos of daily life." "Layers," Clara whispered, struck by the idea. She envisioned stacking the images, each representing a phase of change, a shift in her identity. This was a chance to confront the rawness of her experience while inviting others to find resonance with their own stories. As she began to sketch anew, the flood of ideas consumed her. She felt a power that had long been dormant, the expression of her inner world manifesting in concise strokes and vibrant hues. With each line, she was peeling back layers not just for the audience, but for herself. However, as excitement coursed through her, reality kicked in once more. The moment of truth was approaching. The consumer market loomed over every creative decision she was making. Would her integrity survive the pressure? Was it possible to balance authenticity with commercial success? The day drew to a close as Clara glanced around the studio, her sketches scattered like fragments of her evolving self. The energy was palpable, yet the lingering uncertainty shadowed her reflections. The stakes felt higher than ever. She was no longer just creating art, she was laying bare her soul to the world. Sensing her apprehension, the collector approached her gently. "Remember, Clara, fear can be a catalyst for creativity. Don't let it stifle your voice. Embrace it. Let it inform your work, not define it." As she packed her things, a thought struck her. Perhaps her art wasn't merely a mirror to her experiences, but also a weapon against her self-doubt. This blossoming belief held a dangerous allure. Could she really transform her vulnerabilities into strength? And so, with her heart racing and anticipation igniting a fire within her, Clara faced an inevitable question. What sacrifices was she prepared to make in pursuit of genuine expression? The threshold of her transformation sparked a desire for more than mere artistic success. Would she fight for it, or would she retreat into the safety of the familiar? Tomorrow, she would confront her next challenge, presenting her revised concepts in front of other artists. Could she elevate her vulnerability to the level of artistry, or would fear drive her back into silence? Clara stood in front of a room full of seasoned artists, their new scrutiny feeling like an electric current. This wasn't her first critique, yet today was different. She was not merely the mother artist anymore. She was a woman who had embraced the core of her identity through her art. As she presented her sketches on transition, colorful, chaotic, deeply personal struggles, she felt vulnerability surge within her. The room hummed with anticipation, a palpable energy that contrasted sharply with her once looming fear. "Art is undeniably tied to our experiences," she began, her voice steady and resolute. "For me, that experience dives deep into motherhood, into the beautiful chaos of change and identity. Every phase becomes a canvas for my emotions." With each word, Clara felt the chains of expectation loosen. She was no longer just defending her work against criticism. She was reclaiming her narrative. As she explained her thoughts on layered art, the responses from her peers shifted from skepticism to admiration. Questions transformed into conversations about depth, technique, and authenticity. One artist remarked, "You capture the fear and beauty in transitions elegantly. It's relatable and striking." For the first time, Clara sensed the power of her journey resonating with others. Perceptive nods and supportive murmurs filled the room, transforming her self-doubt into a collective affirmation. The fleeting moments of vulnerability she had once feared became the very bridge connecting her to them. As the session closed, Clara fielded questions about her art and motivations. Each inquiry felt like a step deeper into her own evolution rather than a confrontation. That night at home, Clara immersed herself in the joyous chaos of her children. Laughter echoed through the hall while colors and sketches sprawled around her. Every shout and giggle infused her with clarity, a clarity that whispered she belonged to both her worlds, fully. The weight of her decision to pursue authenticity unveiled a connection she hadn't thought possible. The nights were not banished. They coexisted harmoniously with her role as a creator. Days went by in a whirlwind. Clara balanced her responsibilities and the details of the upcoming exhibition featuring her collaborative work. She finalized pieces that displayed rich layers of texture and intensity, each canvas fusing her identity as a mother and artist. Each stroke of color embodied a facet of her journey: pride, exhaustion, elation, deciphering motherhood in its myriad forms. And then came the day of the exhibition's unveiling. Clara arrived early, her heart pounding with expectation and ambition. She stepped around the space, noting the careful arrangement of her pieces alongside the collector's supportive works. Her path had led her here, a convergence of understanding reflected through the colorful interpretation of her reality. As the evening unfolded, guests began to arrive, their faces illuminated with curiosity and admiration. Clara took a deep breath, reminding herself of her purpose. The ghosts of uncertainty and fear had lingered, but she was no longer their prisoner. She had transformed her vulnerabilities into a narrative of triumph. "This is a reflection of my journey as both a mother and an artist," she told a group admiring her artwork. Each compliment felt like a thread tying her identity to acceptance, illuminating her resolve. She stepped into the circle of conversation, appreciating the recognition, yet holding fast to the realization that her worth extended beyond their approval. Throughout the evening, words of praise flowed, punctuated by laughter and shared stories. In that vibrant space, Clara found herself embraced by an artistic community that celebrated authenticity. She was no longer defined by her roles as a mother and artist, but celebrated the agglomeration of both. As the night drew to a close, amidst the applause and approval, Clara had an epiphany. This exhibition wasn't just a professional victory. It signified her profound transformation. Clara realized she had turned the tide. By accepting her journey and the unique complexities therein, she achieved a marriage of passion and professionalism. Her voice not merely a whisper, but a clear, resonant yell. In the quiet moments after the crowd dissipated, Clara stood before her art, examining every inch of her work marked by self-discovery. The shadows of doubt that once fastened themselves tightly had dissipated, revealing a path forward illuminated by confidence and clarity. She had achieved its solid confidence, recognized competence, and an established position as an artist grounded in authenticity. Clara felt a burgeoning pride, a deep fulfillment for the integral work she had performed, exhibiting not only her art, but also her truth. And as Clara stepped outside into the evening air, soaking in the hum of a vivid community that had affirmed her, she relished the extraordinary. She was no longer juggling identities. She embraced them fully. This was her moment of achievement, and its resonance echoed through every vibrant hue she painted from this day forward. If you're inspired by Clara's remarkable transformation and her journey of overcoming self-doubt, you need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support for all the powerful stories yet to come. Leave a like right now to help spread the emotional tales that empower us all. Comment below with your thoughts and personal insights on Clara's journey. and share this video immediately with at least 5 friends who need a dose of inspiration. Don't wait even one more second, be part of this transformative experience.